Hello everyone, and thank you so much for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started, so please take your seats. Today we are going to be talking about our effort to make Bijou Community School live up to its name. So, of course, welcome to our annual LTUSD reflection meeting. We do like to have this done every year just so we can all get together and talk about our previous school year and our hopes for this next school year. So today's primary focus is to discuss the development of Bijou's English-only tract and the possibility of dividing our school into two separate sites. So please sign into the sign-in sheet as it gets passed around with your name, your site, and your signature. All right, moving on. So I want to talk a little bit about how we stand today versus where we could be. So as you know, with our current model, we have our school population of our maximum of 360 students. Of course, we have our grades K through 5. And we have our English-only tract and our TWBI tract together in one school, which is just divided by our new building and our old building. Now, I want to talk to you all about a possibility of something that we've been developing a lot over the last 5 years. We've all talked about it. You guys have all heard this plan, but I really want to see today if we can make a vote to see if we can make this come into fruition. This will be our new intended model. So our potential school population could be 210 students max. We would continue to have our grades K through 5, and we would keep our TWBI population in Bijou Community School. We would use our new building just for kindergarten and first grade. We would also be able to use our additional classrooms, which could be turned into the science labs. So how do we make this happen and why? So we want to talk a little bit about what these changes would look like. So we are basing this model, our new model, on the Met School, which is essentially using smaller class sizes, and we want to maintain this K through 5 model. So why is it that we want smaller class sizes? The whole idea is to create more of a feeling of community in our school. Just like I said, to put the name back into the school. With these smaller school sizes, we will continue to maintain the K through 5 model, which I'll talk about a little bit in a second. Now, one plan for transformation we have is our juntas diarias, which are daily meetings with our homeroom staff. We will also talk a little bit about using exhibitions as a form of summative assessments. So first, let's dive into the idea of big picture schools. So I mentioned this idea of the Met. Mainly, if you see this picture of the left side, we're basing a lot of these ideas on a really revolutionary book that we've read called The Big Picture. And it's by Dennis Littke and Samantha Gravel. So the Metropolitan Regional Center and Technical Center is called the Met, as we'll be referring to. And it was a really revolutionary idea that was a school from Rhode Island, which was small, intimate, and dynamic. So the number one goal of this school was community. And really what they did is they took kind of the old ideas, the traditions that we've had kind of solidified in our school systems for hundreds of years here in this country, and they turned everything on its head. They said, let's just rethink things from ground one. And if there's, an old tradition like say 45-minute class periods, let's just do away with that. School bells, let's get away with that too. So they started to take out things that they didn't think were necessary and only implementing what was most important, with the students as the focus of every single aspect of the school. Now, we are developing these ideas off of what we call big picture schools. So they are public schools that follow the Met's design, and they work in tandem with the school's communities. So as we know, our Bijou community is strong. Not only in this neighborhood, the Bijou neighborhood, not only our school itself, but our district and all of our families that make part of this community. So I think that this big picture model will work fantastically for our district as well, and I'm really excited to give it a chance to put it into play. So when we were talking about the reasons for keeping the K through 5 model, I want to explain to you why. So initially, many people proposed the idea of, instead of breaking up the English-only tract and the TWBI tract, instead of, really separating these different populations, they said, well, why not just put, the younger grades, so K through 3 in one school, or excuse me, K through 2 in one school, and then 3 through 5 in another. But we actually learned from the big picture that they did try that to separate their different grades, and they found that the teachers themselves did not have that same ability to build true bonds, because they were often getting new students, every single year and only seeing them for 1 year. And so, of course, because Bijou is all about community, our goal is to create a school where we can see these kids through, so that if you're a third grade teacher, you've seen this second grader around, and then when they finally get to your classroom, you know them because you had their brother, you had their cousin, and then the next year when you see them in the hallway, you still have that ability to say hi and continue those connections. So when we're talking a little bit more about how to apply these ideas at Bijou, we want to talk about smaller class sizes a little bit more specifically. So what this looks like is we're actually putting our maximum number at a much lower number in order to create this sense of community, and in order to give these students a lot more attention that they really need. So what that looks like is for K through 2, we're putting our maximum at 15 students, and for 3 through 5, that's going to be a maximum of 20 students. So when you plug in these numbers for K through 2 and for 3 through 5, you'll see that that will give us a maximum of 200 students here in our school. Now just imagine going from 350 to 210. This school will have so much more space for the students, and we will be able to use our resources so much better. It also means more recognition in the Bijou Good Citizens Assembly. It gives us the ability to develop our Big Buddy program, and really to expand our Conflict Managers program, where the students are able to work as conflict managers out at recess and help each other. This is another model that we really hope to expand. This was our first year, and now instead of just 3 conflict managers per class, we can have up to 5 per class to be able to help manage those conflicts out at recess, which has been working so well so far. Now, another major idea that I wanted to pull from this design of the big picture is the idea of juntas diarias. Now, of course, because we are a two-way bilingual school, we will be using this term in Spanish, but the idea is daily meetings. So what does this look like? So we are taking an all-hands-on-deck approach. This means that all staff members will have homerooms. This is including our nurses, our custodians, really any staff member, even our principal. So these will be 15-minute morning meetings, which will include things like games, Bijou Olympic games, communication strategies, and voting on school matters. So we want these kids, even from the youngest age of just kindergarten, to be able to start recognizing the power of their vote and their voice. So bringing this use of decision and allowing them to access it at such a young age. We're also going to be serving the needs of diverse learners by doing this, and we want to prevent really children from falling through the cracks. So, with these bigger class sizes, a lot of times it's easy for kids to feel that they just get caught up in the rhythm of things, that school is sort of just a big whirlwind and they're just being, moved through the day. But with these smaller groups for their morning meetings, every child will feel noticed. And also, they're going to be in a mixed group. So it's not like we're just keeping kindergartners together, just first graders together. These morning meetings will be from kids from K all the way to 5th. And so they have that sense of community, and they'll be able to improve their social skills by learning how to relate to kids of different ages. These homeroom teachers are meant to be engaging in students' academics, their home life, and their extracurriculars. So they'll be responsible for matters that aren't just academic. Furthermore, we'll have 1 homeroom field trip per trimester, and we have a lot of great ideas that we'd like to share with you at the end of this meeting. And so I took this quote from a video that was really powerful to me. It says, "We don't teach content, we teach people. The content is what we are sharing with them. Our focus needs to be on the human beings." So that was from Dr. Green that she mentioned in the video week 3 from 609, which is 6 facets and the ABCs. So I just think that this really needs to be our model. Remember that we are teaching human beings and they need to be our focus, which is why we want to implement these junta diarias. next, I want to talk to you about one of our major pivotal points, which is exhibitions. So we want to try to remove the idea of quizzes and exams moving forward. You know, we just don't feel that this is really necessary for students from 5th grade, from kindergarten to 5th. We want to start introducing the idea of exhibitions. So what does this mean exactly? So it's based on the METS model of fostering student-centered learning. And we want to implement the idea of backwards design, which is which each grade level will meet to discuss the goals of each trimester ahead of time. So this is when our teachers will have a time to talk about these goals and how we can implement them in the classroom and what kind of projects that we can present our students with in order to be successful. So we will have booklets with modeled math, science, and SLA projects that meet Common Core standards that we will provide for each grade level as well. And we will have 3 exhibitions per year, 1 per trimester, and they will be projects for every single grade, even as low as kinder. So we're going to take a moment to watch this video, Most Likely to Succeed, so you can get a better idea about it. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit more about exhibitions. So how UBD Understand by Design relates to exhibitions. So what we're going to be doing is we need to identify what counts as successful learning. And what this means is what counts as the understanding sought. We want to pinpoint what it is that we really want the students to understand and how they can show that to us. And furthermore, we need to think like an assessor. So, you know, sometimes as teachers, we get our minds a bit clouded by, oh, our students should know this, they should understand this, this is what they learned in 3rd grade, now that we're in 4th grade, they need to know this. But we really need to think, what is it that we need to ask, and how can we ask it in a way that really tests their knowledge from what we presented to them, from the experiences that they already experienced in class. We also need to keep in mind the evidence of transferability, which is this idea of, okay, so now that they've learned this skill in your class, how can they apply it to other tasks in their real lives? And, you know, if we feel that our tasks are not preparing for them for real life, how can we switch them? And what can we do to maybe apply it in this unit, say in science, but then see the same idea later in math or same idea later in Spanish language arts? Furthermore, we want to work on designing around problems, not just exercises. So this is the work of the teachers to really front load these activities to create creative and challenging projects so that the students are confronted with real world problems that they need to overcome, work together on, and strengthen their own lives. So I also wanted to mention to you that we do fortunately have some UBD conferences coming up for you guys. So teachers will be trained on the concept of backwards design, also known as Understand by Design. And we have conferences in Los Angeles from August 22nd to 24th and San Francisco from August 29th to 31st. And we do have funds ready for you guys. So we'll be passing around a sign-in board for that as well. All right, so here is, we're coming to kind of a conclusion for our annual meeting, and we can't wait to hear what you guys have to think. So we're going to break out into some smaller breakout groups, and we're going to talk about these main ideas. About our, excuse me, let me get back to this page really quick, about our juntas diarias, our exhibitions, and our smaller groups, and how these new models will look. So thank you so much for coming, and please get ready to meet in your age level groups. All right, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.